Chasing after that dollar like it'll slow down my hurry. Settle all my worries when I get it in my wallet. Quit dipping long enough to own a pair of jeans that don't have a ring in the back left pocket. Laughing at myself, admitting when I'm wrong. That's what this good old boy's gonna go out working on. Working on coming to Jesus, kicking about wrestling with our roots. Trying to turn off mama's tears and fill our daddy's boots. Shutting up our pride, fixing bridges we burn. Learning how to live and learn. Keeping our demons down and our trucks up and running. Loving them angels sitting pretty in the middle of them. Fighting with a man in the mirror till we gone. Yeah, that's what all those good old boys gonna go out working on. Gonna go out working on.
What's up, Real Hondo football fans? It is week 6 for the 2023 season, and we are cheering our boys on for the homecoming game this Friday night at Care Park, as the Cares are 6-0 and headed into their final league game of the season, and the final of 4 straight home games. That it's been nice kind of just setting up shop at Care Park there for the last month. And after the bye week, next week, we'll go into the Gold Coast League play against Viewpoint, Brentwood, and Campbell Hall, respectively. And it should be a lot of fun. Playoff ticket will be up in the air. You know, who can finish the top 2 teams, of course, guaranteed playoff spots. Although the past 2 years, 3 teams out of the league have actually made it to the playoffs, one being an at-large. But the challenge to the guys this week in the homecoming game, there's going to be a lot of distractions. There's going to be a team from out of the area coming down to Care Park in Irwindale, kind of an intersectional game, NorCal versus SoCal. So a lot going on. And I guess my challenge to the guys is to just keep working on, man. Just keep working on. The season is moving along. And man, as I mentioned in the post-game show over the weekend, just keep pushing, keep working. Do not be satisfied with 6-0. Do not be satisfied with a league championship. Do not be satisfied, with some big time moments. Go create your lasting legacy at Real Hondo. And, things change rather quickly in football. Injuries are a real big thing. And we suffered a few last week. We'll see over the next few weeks how healthy Real Hondo can get. But most teams are banged up throughout the season. And that's just something that you have to deal with in football. And a lot can change. You can be clicking on all cylinders, and all of a sudden a couple injuries here, a couple injuries there. Things change, and maybe you're walking wounded. You're not 100% as a team, and boom, you lose in the playoffs or something. So do not be satisfied. Keep working on, keep pushing forward, because there's a lot of season left. And selfishly, I don't want it to go away. It's a lot of work going into this podcast, the pregame shows and the postgame shows and everything, but it's an honor to do it. And I don't know what else to do on my Friday nights once that's all gone. I'm sure I'll think of something, but I would much rather cover the Real Hondo Prep football team, and very much looking forward to doing that again this Friday night. Now, 6:30 start on Friday due to the homecoming festivities, we will say. Again, challenge to the boys is stay focused. Don't worry about halftime shows or what's going on afterwards. Let's focus on football for 2.5 hours and get the job done out there. Play hard and continue the great success for the season that has been going on thus far. So 6:30 start. Be sure to get there early. There should be plenty of food. I think a taco man will be there or something like that. And then, of course, the Care Youth League, I think, probably will be performing at halftime in the big homecoming halftime show. So didn't get to do that last year, of course, because of the cowards we had on our schedule who canceled their game because a few guys were sick or something like that. But I'll let it go. I'll finally let it go at some point. So didn't get to play a game last year. Got to do a homecoming event by its standalone event, which was kind of odd, but it was necessary to get done. And so this year, that long halftime show at Care Park, much like Super Bowl halftime, if you will, a lot going on with the Real Hondo homecoming. So some good memories of just Real homecomings over the years. Specifically, I always remember the tri-tip setup right there on the field at Care Field. I think it was Mr. I think he had his tri-tip going, and man, they'd set up shop there like around lunchtime, and it would be cooking all day. And then the JV game be played, and you got the smoke and the meat, and it's just then the props for all the homecoming stuff. The field would be painted really cool, Yellow Book Road. They would do all kinds of weird stuff, and yeah, it's I'm curious what the paint crew does this week. We'll have to maybe do a sneak peek on I don't know, Thursday night, or get there early Friday. I don't know. We'll check out the field and be sure to share that with you guys on Instagram and Facebook and such. I thought the field conditions have looked really good there at Care Park. By the way, it's a nice carpet, man, natural grass, and just really clean. And I don't know what they're doing to it, or maybe not doing to it, staying off of it. But the field looks to be in great shape, great playing condition for sure. So Kings Academy comes to town this Friday night. They'll be in town, I think, Thursday, driving down. I'm not sure. They're going to Disneyland, Coach Carson said, at some point over the weekend. So we don't know much about them. We will pull them up here briefly and take a quick dive into them and their schedule. They, according to Max Preps, have only played 3 games, so they're 2-1. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but there was some highlight videos we'll kind of look at and maybe break down who their best player is. And then, of course, at the end of the show, just do a quick rules knowledge thing. I have a very short one today. It's only going to be like a minute or two, just kind of a terminology thing, if you will. So maybe I'm losing energy here as we go into the season, late into the season, I should say. I need that bye week, maybe. Yeah, that's what I need. I got vacation and bye week coming up. So very much looking forward to that. There will be no shows during the bye week. Everyone needs a breather. Everyone gets a break, and it'll make you wanting more when you come back in week 8 for the final 3 games of the season. So 2 shows this week, of course, like normal, but there will be no show next week, pregame or postgame, because there is no game. So I thought about throwing one in, but I'm like, no, let's everybody take the week off, and it'll get us hungry for the following weeks to come. So that's kind of the schedule there. Briefly, I did want to mention by the time this is out, these games will have already been played, but the varsity girls, I believe, have had 4 volleyball games left in the season. They, by the time this is out on Thursday, they will have already played this week, but the following week, the final 2 games of the season, I believe, are on the road for the young ladies on, let's see, Tuesday, 10-10. Man, it's going to be October already. Wow. 10-10 at Pauley, and 10-11 Wednesday at Chadwick. So for your Rio Hondo varsity girls, if you haven't got out to support, or maybe you live in those areas, stop on by 4:00 at Pauley, 6:00 way out and at Chadwick. Stop by, support the ladies. They had games against Temple City and Providence this week, and hopefully, again, by the time this is out, they will have done well. But their season is wrapping up shortly. Not sure about their playoff chances, so might be your final time to see some of the young ladies out there play volleyball this season. And then, man, basketball in October, that just doesn't sound right. No, we can't have that. We got a lot of football left, and who knows what, maybe the girls can get in the playoffs somehow. I don't know their situation, but we shall see. But back to football. Again, Kings Academy from the Bay Area, from Sunnyvale, actually, to be. They were Central Coast champions 4 or 5 years ago, I think 2018, 2019. We are in the southern section, and there are 10 sections in California. Notably here in Southern California, the southern section is hands down the biggest, like 500 something schools. There's also the LA City section, San Diego section, and then just north of us is the central section, where kind of Boron is playing in. So other than that, most of the other divisions are way up north section, Central Coast, and all that kind of stuff up there. So they're up in the Bay Area and going to be coming down to take us on, and looking forward to this matchup. We don't know much about them. I looked up their school a little bit, and let's see, maybe we can do a little bit of that now. Why not? Let's pull it up. We do have a guest today. I forgot to mention that. Dave Guerrero is our guest today. You see Dave down on the sideline working all the time with the camera, and doing a great job giving the fans kind of the look from the sideline. He does work with the Rio Hondo Prep Football YouTube page, the Rio Hondo Prep Football Facebook and Instagram page. He's great at doing clips and everything. So he's our guest today. I get to chat with him for about 30 minutes or so, just about Rio football, his experiences, watching his kids play football at Rio. He's a football junkie, and he can't get enough of it. And it's a hobby of his, filming and being a part of the program, and he takes great pride in it. So, when you get to see Dave running around down there on the sideline, he played football back in the 1980s, went to 3 straight CIF championship games, won the middle one there in 1982, and was on that undefeated team. It was teammates with Don Bedoya, who was on the pregame show last week. So be sure to thank Dave for all the hard work he does running around the field, editing clips and posting things, because he does a lot of work behind the scenes. And I thought, well, let's get him in front of the microphone and let the fans and parrots get to know a little bit about him. But before we get to Dave, let's get a little bit here about the Kings. Is it the Kings Academy? Is it? I think their helmets say TK. Yeah, TKA Athletics. Here we're looking at the page. They're kind of there. If you want to learn a little bit about the Kings Academy, TKA.org. I'm at /athletics right here. Let's go to their homepage. They're in Sunnyvale. We stand for the Kings Academy is an independent college preparatory school from grades 6 through 12, which exists to honor and glorify our King Jesus Christ. Well, that sounds kind of familiar, if you ask me. Looks like we have a similar school to Rio Hondo Prep up here, grades 6 through 12 as well. Don't know what their enrollment is in the Silicon Valley. Let me see. Mission. The Kings Academy is a Christ-centered school that inspires academic excellence, servant leadership, and enduring relationships. Okay. All right. They are the Knights, the Kings Knights. I think that's kind of cool. Let's look at kind of their athletic page here. I am a Christian. I am a champion. I am a knight. I like that. To train young leaders to pursue wholehearted excellence for Christ through unique educational experiences in athletics. Wow. I'm kind of liking these guys. I like kind of what they stand for, at least on paper. They got some good morals and values and some visions here. So give it a look just to kind of learn a little bit about their school here, TKA.org. That's www.tka.org. The Kings Academy, Sunnyvale, California. Christ-centered college prep, grades 6 through 12 in Sunnyvale, California. Okay, cool. That's a little bit about them. Looks like they are blue and gold, or navy and gold. Okay. Well, beat the Knights, huh? Beat the Knights. Let's beat those guys. Their schedule, it only says they played 3 games, which I don't know is a typo or what. They opened the season in August like we did, a week after us. So they did not play week 0. And maybe in the North Coast section, they play a little later because they played August 25th, September 1st. And then they had a 2-week break. They didn't play again until this last Friday, where they beat Lowell High School 46-7. They also beat Santa Teresa 20-3 back in September 1st, and then lost their opener 48-34 against Mountain View from up there. So interesting. There we are, Rio Hondo Prep on their schedule. Let's see if we can go to a few stats here. Looks like their running back is number 7. Jaden Underwood leads their team, 144 yards rushing a game. And I was looking up a few highlights here. These are highlights from week 1 against Mountain View High School. We will let the ad finish here, but it looks like they do a lot of kind of shotgun, spread you out type of deal, which a lot of teams do now. But a lot of gun runs, similar kind of what we saw early in the game last week. They do throw the ball a little bit, but Jaden Underwood, again, this is only with 3 games worth of stats on here, I believe, has 6 touchdowns total, 5 on the ground, and again does average 7 yards. Let's see, what do we got? Kind of a gun run, kind of a shorter guy, really shifty. Okay, got to blow this up a little. Yeah, tough guy to tackle, it seems like. Shotgun, 3 wide, 4 wide, kind of like a toss sweep. Okay. Man, tough guy to tackle, tough guy to bring down. Jonathan Guerrero out there, Dave's son. Interesting. Yeah. Took his foot in the ground and gets upfield. Wow. I think they listed him at like 5'9", 5'7", maybe 5'9", like a $190. So here's a trips formation. Interesting. A lot of teams do that now, where they go trips to the far side and then run to the weak side just to kind of spread you out, get extra defenders over there. His linemen sure know how to block for him too. This is all Jaden Underwood, obviously, because that's who we clicked on, and because he is their leading guy. But Jaden Underwood, number 7. A couple more clips here. That's what I'm seeing on this video thus far, just from a few clips, is he is a tough guy to bring to the ground. None of these are touchdowns. These are just plays that real shifty. He does not go down on first contact. So even though he's a smaller guy, Rio Hondo's really going to have to bottle him up. Let me see. Get out of that now. They're going to have to do a good job of gang tackling and, hitting the strike zone, if you will. So there's some info, I guess, on Kings Academy, breaking them down. Receiving yards a game, few guys in there because their next back in the rushing attack, Lucas Morris and Reed Black. Okay, Lucas Morris averages 60 yards a game, so he's kind of their other guy. We'll say not quite 144 yards of running, but he's number 24 for Kings Academy. The Kings Academy, yeah, that's what I said. Why are these ads so long? That's brutal. Anyway, one more little clip here. I'm gonna watch a little video here of their other running back, number 24, Lucas Morris, and then we'll move to the Dave Guerrero conversation. Just chat some Rio football to get you guys ready for this Friday night's game, big homecoming game, and hopefully put you in the right frame of mind, whether you're watching this, listening to this on Thursday night, or on the way to the game. What do we got here? Oh, some defensive highlights from Mr. Morris here, number 24. Okay, kind of let's see if he's their leading tackler or not. Always like looking at that. Okay, Mr. Morris, he can play a little ball. Number 24. Okay, all right. Some good highlights there. One thing I always want to look at is maybe their leading tackles per game. Matthew Kennedy, 10.3 tackles a game. That's a middle linebacker, of course. That's a lot of tackles for a dude. Number 55. Okay. Got to block 55, fellas. 55 and 24. Matthew Kennedy. Welcome to Southern California, sir. We're hoping to lock you up and block you well. By the looks of the way these guys play, and again, their mission statement and things like that, looks like a classy group. You never know until you kick things off, but I know that Rio Hondo does have some hospitality for them planned, and be sure to maybe say hello to their fans who made the trip, and let's make sure we welcome them for the far journey they've had. All right, so Matthew Kennedy, middle linebacker. Let's look at him a little bit here. This is against Santa Teresa, their second game. Yep, he definitely looks like a typical middle linebacker, 50 double fives across the back. Pretty thick dude. Not the greatest of feet, kind of, but it comes at him quickly. Huh. Well, hopefully we just run right by him. He's kind of making a lot of tackles there between the tackles. Now, there he is chasing down a guy. Okay. Just a little mini scouting report here. There's 55. That's the same play. Gets out in space, Matthew Kennedy. So, special teams play. What we got? He's down here. Maybe this is just an overall team. Let's look at a kickoff return. Although we plan on kicking the ball in the end zone, right, Alex Mustaine? We don't want returns. What is going on here? All right, we'll stop looking at this stuff. But I was just looking at a few highlights of their guys and a few clips of theirs. But that's Kings Academy. The Knights from Sunnyvale, California. What is that? 6, 7, 8 hours, maybe by bus. They're coming down to Care Park and going to be taking on the Cares in week 6 in our 7th game of the year. And very much looking forward to this. All right, let's get to our conversation with Dave Guerrero, the class of 1984, I believe. Again, played in 3 straight CIF championships, quarterback of all 3 of those teams in 81, 82, and 83, and was a CIF champion on undefeated team in 1982. Somebody that cares deeply about Rio Hondo prep football and gives a lot of his time and energy and effort just putting in clips and videos. And be sure to say thanks to Dave for all of his hard work because he does a really good job and is a huge part of the broadcasting team. All right, let's talk to him right now, Mr. David Guerrero. Okay, I'm now joined by Dave Guerrero from the class of 1984. He was a CIF champion, quarterback on the 1982 team, and led Rio to 3 straight championship game appearances, 81, 82, and 83. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, Matt. Nothing much. Just looking forward to talking to you about some Rio Hondo prep football.
It is always a pleasure chatting with you about Rio football. We get to see each other on game days, working directly a little bit. You run your sideline camera there that I know a lot of people love. And so we get to do some, in between quarter breaks and stuff. It's fun just working together on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I started recording football on the sideline in 2011, and I thought, when you're in the stands, the parents don't really get to see, if you can't see everything, right? Even from the stands, you can't. There's no instant replay. So I thought, you know what? Let me get up close, get the video up close, and for the players and for the parents, and they can see what's going on. They can rerun it, slow it down, replay it, and so that's why I started doing it. Eventually, I love doing it. It's a hobby now.
Yeah, I mean, you started out kind of like Mr. Bray, doing it kind of around the time your son's playing, and then you just keep doing it. And then Jonathan, your youngest, comes around. He plays for 3 years, and now he's gone and moved on to college football, and you're still doing it. So it's kind of a tradition, I guess. You got to be careful with those hobbies you get at Rio Hondo, because you might be put to work.
No, I really enjoy it, and if you watch the video, you'll see the offensive line is just pretty amazing. The last couple of games, I mean, the weight room, I think, has really paid off. You'll see guys flying backwards on the defense. Their upper body I think they really improved their upper body, because they'll just push guys and they go flying backwards. So if you look at the video, pay attention to the offensive line, and they're doing a great job blocking. It's just nice to see.
Yeah, you run the sideline camera down there. You really get a good feel for just everything that's going on, whether the coaching and the substitutions, but also, like you said, the line play. You get that, you could see that surge up close. And yeah, I've been really impressed the past few weeks with these guys. They're blowing guys off the ball and really creating some big holes in the running game. With you recording on the sideline, you really do give access to the parents and fans out there with the NFHS network. I've seen some other broadcasts, Dave. They're not nearly as good as what we got going with the main camera and the sideline camera. You're in the huddle. You're right there at close up for some stuff. So it's really added to the whole NFHS broadcast.
Yeah, I think that's something about Rio Hondo Prep, and just trying to do the best you can. And it's just, Mr. Bray, hundreds of hours volunteer time. And then you got Kyle and Clark, volunteering their time and enjoying it. And, I enjoy it and you enjoy it. And it's just part of the Rio Hondo Prep thing that we do. We try and do the best we can. I think Will Tirico came across the field before the game and said, "Hey, you guys broadcasting?" Because the other side, when they broadcast, it's just basically a screenshot. They're just shooting the field from 100, you can't see what's going on. And in fact, the other schools like to watch our video on YouTube. If you go to Rio Hondo Prep Football, on the YouTube page, you'll see a Rio Hondo Prep football games. And the most watched game is a junior high championship game, has like 2,000 views. And I think it's probably the other kids from the other school, because, they don't get, Rio Hondo Prep. I mean, we like the media. We give the media for our kids, and so these other schools don't get an opportunity to get that. And I'm pretty sure it's these other schools, their kids tuning in and watching, them play football up close. Yeah.
Well, Dave, for so long, Rio Hondo Prep's been this small school that, no one's ever heard of that. Heard of you, and it's just like, for so long, we're just that little engine that could, right? And so finally, the past, 10 years, really, we've been able to put a product out out not just on the field, but for the masses to see. Technology has changed. We got Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter, and now we got the podcast. We're broadcasting games live. And to your point about like Clark and Kyle and Robert and yourself, Mark made a comment to me recently about, all these people are doing this. No one's getting paid. And yeah, sure. It's out of the goodness of our heart, we'll say, but it's fun for us. We love Rio Hondo Prep football, and we want the product itself to grow. So I always say it's a privilege. It's a privilege and an honor to do this, because we want to see Rio Hondo football elevated to the highest of levels.
Yeah, and your podcast is helping with that. And it's, like I said, it's a tradition. And what ties us all together, the Rio Hondo Prep community, is this tradition that we have going back from the beginning. And so when one thing is these trick plays that Rio Hondo Prep runs that no other school does, the kickoff return, they've been doing that for 20, 30 years probably, the fake up the middle. And so we have these little traditions that tie us all together, and the podcast is helping, remind us of these things, because to tell you the truth, I had a reunion, like, a 40-year reunion with the football championship team. And I didn't remember a lot of things, but the video, we had a video, we had someone do a professional video, and it was, professional for that time. And wow, I brought back a lot of memories. So hopefully, the podcast and these things that we put online, they can go back in time and say, hey, I remember that day when we played. In fact, no one remembers me, and probably, when we played, but it's your teammates and your coaches. They remember, hey, you were the quarterback, or you were this, you were that, and we did this, we did that. Because no one, these kids on the sidelines, they don't know who I am, or they, and so it's, it's for your team. Like I think you had someone there last home game that was on your team or something like that. Yeah, I saw you interacting with them.
Yeah,
and I didn't know who you was, but you knew who you was, and you guys probably reminisced about a lot of things you guys used to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I tell the kids all the time, appreciate these moments, because they go fast, and then, fast forward to 30 years or whatever, you're looking back and thinking of all the good times and the fun, and you could be separated from your friends, teammates for a long time, but as soon as you get back together, it's like you never missed a beat. You recently had a reunion of sorts with your 1982 championship team. Talk to me about that, and kind of, I don't know, some of the fun memories and story. I think there was a photo of you guys in front of the banner. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, not everyone could make it, but I think we had 13 guys out of the 18 there, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like I said, I don't remember much about when I played, but Don Bedoya, one of the guys on the team, he organized the reunion. He got us championship rings, which was nice of him. So we got these nice championship rings, but he has a good memory. He remembered a lot, and plus we have the video. And so we could remember, oh, that's happened, this happened. But otherwise, it's a blur. But it's nice to get together like that. We had a good time, and we were there for like 5-6 hours. Just remembering, yeah.
That is good stuff. Hey, I got to interview Don Bedoya for one of the pregame shows. Great guy, fun chatting and hearing about his experiences. Another great player from your team, Scott Moore, a 1982 big-time running back for you guys. Again, we see him along the sidelines at Rio games, kind of passing out sideline passes or whatever, and maybe the kids don't know him, but all the alums and the history of Rio Hondo, the history books know. So Scott Moore, big-time running back. We got to get him on the show too, right?
Yeah. Don and Scott, both 1,000-yard runners in that championship team, over 1,000 yards each. So yeah, that was they were very powerful running back tandem.
So did you have to throw the ball much, Dave? I mean, you're handing the ball off to 2,000-yard running backs. I mean, yeah.
We threw the ball a little bit. Not very much. I had a 6'6" tight end. Dirty. So that helped. And then, I had a very good wide out. So yeah, it made it easy that year. That was my junior year. And then my senior year, I wasn't as good. So what does that tell you?
Sometimes we're only as good as our teammates, right? That is really neat. But I mean, what was it like though? That was a special time at Rio. There's a lot of special eras, but to play in 3 straight championship games, unfortunately losing 2 of those in 81 and 83, but getting that sweet victory in 82. I mean, that had to be for 3 years, just a fun, magical time to be playing football at Rio.
Yeah, football, football is, I love football. When I was back in the, that time I'd watch Saturday football, Sunday football, and whatever football I could watch, I'd be watching it all 24/7 as much as I could. But obviously now I've weaned off a little bit, and I just, high school football, maybe a college game or a NFL game once in a while. I don't watch as much football, but yeah, so those are the days where, football, we just love football. And those 3 years were good years. We lost 2, and definitely we lost to better teams. So, I can't be too sad about that. But yeah, we were able to win 1, and that was our, we were 13-0. That was pretty good.
Yeah. That is, fantastic. A lot of guys would give anything to play in 1 championship game, let alone 3 of them, and to come out on top is really, really neat. That was Rio's, 4th championship at the time. 4 championships in 9 years, I think. 73, 77, 79. And 82. So Yeah, a great era, a great time at Rio. And then we didn't win another one until 1990. So a huge 8-year gap, kind of like the drought we're in right now. Last one was 2012. It's been 11 years, man.
Yeah, it's tough, and especially now it's even tougher because of the Cal Preps rankings and how they do the playoff situation. So it makes it tough. I mean, if we were in the Cal High Sports has a small school rankings each year. They come out with the rankings, and we're always in the top 10. I'm pretty sure recently, usually in the top 10. So, and that's with 500 students or less. So, I mean, if we were competing each year in the playoffs in those division, a size-wise division, then we'd have a dynasty. I mean, I think, Rio Hondo Prep would be a dynasty, but the way they have it now, it's really tough for these kids to win a CF championship. And so I think we're ranked like 167 now. Going to the playoffs last year, I think we're in the like 120s or something like that. And the year before, when we were in Division 7, I think we were ranked like 105. And so that we were in Division 7 because we were ranked so high. But we're 167 now. So I think it's good that we're giving up points, unfortunately, because it keeps us in the probably in the mix for a good playoff division that we should be in. I mean, you're penalized for being good in your size of school, and you're kind of like a rewarding a mediocrity when big schools with 3,000 students play Division 13 or 14. It's just, it's sad, but what are you going to do about it? I think the way they could solve it is the computer rankings are great. I mean, they're accurate as far as that goes, but then you should have a committee where you say, okay, these are the computer rankings. Now let's adjust accordingly, with, people who understand what, the situation is. Because you have teams who don't have players playing maybe 4 games, their sit out period. And so maybe they're losing a few games and their rankings are, skewed by that and such. I mean, if we played all our guys, the starters, the whole game, the scores would be quite a bit different, and we'd be ranked, maybe in the top 100.
It's such a double-edged sword. Like, you want to win and you want to win big, but I mean, no one's trying to do anything on purpose, but like you're trying to score. Your margin of victory matters. And I'm sorry, but enrollment really does matter. And I know there are some schools out there with small student bodies that bring in all kinds of, great athletes and everything. But I mean, we want Rio Hondo to compete at the highest level, but it's a fine line, right? We want to be up in the higher divisions and get recognition, but we also got to understand that small school, small enrollment, there's only so much that can be done. But a few short years ago, got that big Division 7 victory over Charter Oak. So that was pretty sweet, and maybe sweeter than any championship game out there.
Yeah. And I think, obviously Rio Hondo Prep football, these guys are, I watch these guys because I'm being on the sideline. I get the benefit of listening to the coaches, being around the coaches on the sideline. And these guys are, it's a young coaching staff. I think maybe Randy's like in his 50s. I don't know. But, and that's still young. But it's a young coaching staff. They're all smart guys. And they know about football. They know where to put the guys in the positions. And so, that's a big deal for Rio Hondo Prep football, is have a consistent coaching staff, an intelligent coaching staff, a dedicated coaching staff. And, so the parents got to be really, really grateful for the coaching staff that they have. So I think the coaches contribute to that, to the team being successful, obviously.
They're very challenging to our young men. They understand, I think, the whole coaching staff, that they have a tremendous responsibility for the well-being of this program and just all the success that it has had. Randy Johnson, you mentioned, offensive coordinator. His father, Randall Johnson, coached football at Rio for many, many years. He was your coach. I mean, what do you remember about the legendary Randall Johnson? Did he put his arm around you and say nice things, Dave? Or was he kind of like, hey, we need to figure this out, Dave? Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. One of my favorite photographs is me on the sideline. It was when an 81 championship game, and we were playing Templeton. We were losing. And I'm on the sideline, and he's talking to me, and I'm just like, we're going to lose. And he's just talking to me. You can see his face is like consoling me, or I don't know the situation, but it's one of my favorite photographs of him and me just talking on the sideline, getting ready to go back on the field. But, Yeah, I joke. Sometimes I joke with Randy. I said, you're not your dad. You're not your dad. So, but no, they have the same, mind, I think, because Randy is innovative, and Coach Johnson, Randall Johnson, was very innovative. And so Randy, I've told some of the parents, he'll adjust the offense according to the players he has, the talent he has, and also their ability to understand or make plays, because he can make the offense as sophisticated as anything. But if the players can't, comprehend it or execute it, then, he'll back off of that. But in past years, there have been some very sophisticated schemes that he's run. And so it's just up to how much of a challenge the guys can take, because he can put some sophisticated offensive schemes in.
Yeah, he really has blended modern football with the tradition of Rio quite well. Sometimes you'll see him come out in a shotgun, spread look. Sometimes we'll go flex bone, wishbone, kind of old school look. I mean, he's mixed the formations. But what I love with that Randy's done is he really propelled us in the 11-man era of mixing kind of the 8-man philosophies that you and I played in. And I mean, the quick pitch, the X plays, which are now called scissors, the counters. I mean, you see a lot of the same stuff in 11-man tweaked a little bit that Rio Hondo did for 30 years at another level.
Yeah, that quick pitch where the tailback sprints out and the quarterback just underhands it out. That I've never seen that. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen any other teams run that? I don't see any teams run that.
It's a quick pitch. You kind of, the fullback comes in with his arms up, you toss it between it. So you freeze a linebacker end, and then the back's around. And your son, Jonathan Guerrero, ran that and a lot of other types of plays for many years. And his speed, Jonathan was quite a player, little guy in stature, but somebody that recently graduated Rio. And I know your other son, Dave, was a great football player at Rio too. What was it like watching as a dad after playing at Rio Hondo, seeing both of your sons be so successful at Rio Hondo?
It was great. I think, Dave was a lineman, and he benefited from Todd Carson coaching the line. He coached them in junior high, and then he came up with them when they went to high school. He stayed with that group and went into high school with them. And I was talking to Todd yesterday at the game, at Friday's the El Monte game, and we were talking about. I was just thinking about you the other day, because this year's line reminds me of when you were coaching the line, and that they block intelligently. They block, and then they go down the field and get the next guy. It's just, and so that was Todd. That line in 2011, 12, and 13, and of course I don't remember every year. So but I think they were a special line. They had great they pull, screen, trap, all kinds of different type of blocking schemes. And that was Todd, I think, coaching them up and getting them to perform at that level. So and then Jonathan playing also. He had the benefit of that quick pitch where the tight end pulls out, and because you don't block the end, because the end he's not going to catch Jonathan on the sprint out, and then the tight end jumps out and blocks the corner, and it's just so it's been great watching these guys play. Now the running backs, you got two fullbacks over 200 pounds, and Noah is he just runs. When I was watching the film of Friday's El Monte game, I noticed something about him. He's looking around when he's running the ball. He's looking at guys chasing him on the side of him, and he's looking to push him off. Or his vision is pretty amazing. If you watch his head, he's looking around when he's running the ball. He's not he's not as fast as Jonathan or these other guys, but he makes up for that in his shifty. He's shifty, and he's got these long strides, and he knows how to run the ball. So
No, Noah Peninari's going to be, he is already going to be a great football player for, I mean, the decisiveness in his cuts, and it has a lot to do with his instincts and his reactions and his vision through the hole. So absolutely. And, the fullback position at Rio Hondo has been really a featured back position for many, many years. Some greats. You met Don Bedoya on your team. Rod Heaton comes to mind, Rick Johnson. I mean, there's been some great fullbacks, and we got two pretty good ones in Caden Holcomb, and Nathaniel Shine comes in and and get some carries as well. So this year's team is really fun because you got a lot of different guys touching the ball, and it seems like nobody cares who gets the credit.
Yeah, I think this team is pretty physical. I've noticed that the first game against Francis Parker, it was a very physical game because the other team wasn't very physical. But the last two games, I noticed they like playing physical. The linemen, especially, I love the line, and then the linebackers, the defensive backs. I mean, they like playing physical, which is great. And I think as they go down the line, it's just going to, as they play these more physical teams, I think Boron's going to be a physical game. And then Kings Academy, I don't know much about them, but they're a pretty good team. So it's probably going to be a physical game. And then, I just like the way they're playing right now. And I think, going down the line as they mature and play together more, I think they can be a very special team.
They really can. There's been a lot of hype all summer with podcasting, pumping up the season, and we've been waiting for it. It's finally here. And I got to tell you, Dave, I mean, I fell back in love, I guess, with Rio Hondo football a few years ago after kind of, pursuing other things in my life, officiating and just stepped away for a while. And I came back, and it's just like you fall back in love with it. And I love watching the NFL on Sunday. I love Saturday college football all day. But I got to tell you, man, for me, I look forward to Friday nights more than anything during the football season. It's just like, all right, let's get through work. Let's hustle from work to the game. And the boys, don't let us down. Usually they give that max effort. And it's fun to see because I don't have affiliation with any of the other teams I root for, but I do at Rio Hondo. Yeah.
And I'm sure you have a good rapport with the parents. I mean, the coaches, the kids, the parents, it's just a good family atmosphere. When you're after the game, you're doing your podcast after the game, doing your interviews, but I get a chance to talk to the parents and hang out with them and talk about their sons playing. And what you should do is someday you should talk to the chain crew when we have a home game.
Okay.
I like to, ask them about what's going on the other sideline. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I talked to Rick as part of the senior parents interview, and he was saying it's fun being on their sideline because you do hear some frustration usually from the other teams, but also some other things. So I do want to do a behind the scenes kind of interview with maybe the chain crew guys even before the game, just like a little Instagram video or something like that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, parents should really appreciate our coaching staff when if you know any stories about the other sideline, it's just chaos once they start losing, and they don't understand why they're losing, and it's sad to me because the coaches are just sometimes, I'm not going to mention any teams or anything like that, they're just very, very, very rude and very to their players, and it's uncalled for. If they're not performing, maybe it's what they weren't coached. Maybe the other team's better. Maybe we're better than them, and to belittle a player on your team, it's sad for me. It's sad to hear. But on our side, win or lose, the coaches are on the kids' side, and that's it's sad, but it just makes you grateful for our coaching staff.
100%. And I think it goes without saying, but it's that fine. I think the criticism from coaches to players at Rio is coming from a very good place. It's not to say that it's never going to be hard criticism. The coaches work hard and they coach our guys hard, and they understand. And I think the parents understand this too, that it's not always going to be something nice that's said. It's going to be pushing you or, holding you accountable, I think, is what the coaches do more than anything else. It's not just like this demeaning attacks on the players. So I'm right there with you, because it's not to say our coaches are just super nice all the time. There's a right way to do things. And I think the Rio coaching staff does it right most, if not all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And, yeah, I mean, after the last game, I was, I'm not going to say, I shouldn't go on, but our coaching staff handled themselves right. And so, I appreciate the coaching staff. I get to be on the Citrus sidelines also Citrus College, because Jonathan plays at Citrus, and I see the same thing on the Citrus College sideline. Those coaches are all positive. They got a very young coaching staff, and maybe it's the age of the coaching staff or something. I don't know. Young coaching staff. They're players coaches. In other words, they relate to the players very well, and all positive. When they do something wrong, of course, they're going to bark at them, but then they move on because they're correcting them. Sometimes in football, you correct with you got to like snap them into shape, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
told my daughters or something. Football is the only sport where you're allowed to verbally abuse someone. If you ever go in the locker room, some of these games, and I've been in some locker rooms where the defensive, it's usually the defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
He's the one verbally, upset. And so it's the only sport where you get to verbally abuse. But it's all fun. It's all good.
Oh yeah, I've been on plenty of college football fields, and I've heard all kinds of stuff from coaches, usually at players, sometimes at me back in my referee days, and it's intense for sure. And you mentioned Jonathan there at Citrus. Jonathan went to Citrus College last year. Was on that great team that went undefeated. He's a little guy out there, but he's put on some good weight and had a great freshman season. Unfortunately, I think I heard recently he got injured before the season started and may have to miss most of this year.
Yeah, he broke his collarbone in a scrimmage last week, and it's going to heal. It's not a terrible break or anything. It's going to heal fine, maybe about 4 or 6 weeks. But realistically, he's just going to redshirt, because to come back, he's going to miss 6 games, and then it may not be 100% healed, and you break it again. And so the doctor that we saw, a great doctor, and he was like, "You remember Tony Romo? He broke his clavicle, his collarbone." And he was out, and so the Cowboys were doing terrible, and they said, "Okay, we're going to bring you back," after 4 weeks, and he re-broke it.
Yeah.
So
I broke my collarbone my freshman year, and they said 6 weeks, and it was about 6 weeks, and at about 4 weeks, it was because towards the end of the season. 4 weeks, it was like basketball tryout, so I had to get out there with a broken collarbone. So I know that's a pain. That is an awful pain, and I still hasn't probably healed correctly all these years. So Jonathan's a tough dude. That's a tough break, literally on your son there. Yeah,
football is can be very humbling, because you can break your bone. You can be the best physical condition, great shape, and you just land on weird, and your hand, you're throwing the ball, your hand hits a helmet, or you fall down, you put your hand down, or you land on your shoulder, and it's not anything, but it's not anything you did wrong. It's just you got tackled and you fell wrong.
It's why I think it's the greatest game out there, because it can be humbling, as you mentioned, and sometimes things just happen. That's football, and you try to be. You can't really play scared or trying to be safe. You have to go out there and play full speed. And it sounds like your son Jonathan does that. He's still doing that, and man, he was fun to watch at Rio Hondo. Dave, you run, I believe, the Rio Hondo Prep Football YouTube page. Do you also run the Rio Hondo Prep Football Facebook page?
Yeah, so you can go to Rio Hondo Prep Football on Facebook, Rio Hondo Prep Football page, and that's where I put up the some content, the videos, highlight videos, or maybe the full video, depending on what kind of film I get. And then also Instagram, Rio Hondo Prep Football, Instagram, and then Rio Hondo Prep Football YouTube. I want to put it out there. If anyone is creative with video, I'm happy to give you my video, and if you think you can do something with it, just let me know, and I'll give you my video. And because I'm not the most creative guy, and there's probably could be a little more, creativity with my video, but
you're being humble, Dave. You put out some great pregame clips, and then recap. I mean, I love the highlight videos you put together. You seem to do it rather quickly too.
Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, I do it very simply. So that's what I'm saying. If there's someone who wants to grab my video, just reach out to me. Obviously someone who can do something good with it.
Yeah, we work hand in hand. I usually share your stuff, you share my stuff, and it's been great. The Instagram page for Rio Hondo Prep Football is growing, and that seems to be where a lot of people like is the Instagram, Facebook too. But however, man, YouTube, Twitter, audio, Amazon, Apple Spotify. Well, we're going to get content out there, man. And it's going to be good stuff. Sideline cameras, behind the scenes stuff. I want to give the fans access so that they can continue to fall in love with Rio football, you know?
Yes. And I know our school is high school is growing. I know we don't want to get too big because you lose the the small school, what makes Rio Hondo Prep, special. But we got a lot of guys on the sidelines, 38, I think there's 38 guys suited up.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And I think it helps. I mean, I really think it helps the team because you feel like you're part of a pretty big team on the side. The guys on the sideline go off and their teammates are cheering them on and things like that. I think it's really nice, and I think it gives an opportunity for a lot of guys to play because of some of these games. By halftime, the game's pretty much in hand, and so a lot of these guys get to play, and so.
Absolutely, the program has felt bigger all together, and obviously the podcast. You give me great ideas on the podcast, great feedback. You always share. Whenever you share my videos or a podcast episode, you always have something nice to say about it too, which I definitely appreciate. It's a privilege and an honor to do all this stuff. And Dave, we're going to continue to work hand in hand to elevate this program, make it bigger. I'm excited about many things we can do in the off season, on Friday nights with instant replay. I mean, the sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think, if more people want to get involved, maybe they could get involved. I don't know, but we used to have a great Rio Hondo Prep football page on the school website, but unfortunately, when they transitioned the page to a new whatever platform, it was lost. But Tim Lunny, I don't know if you ever saw it. It was one of the best high school football pages. And I looked at Modern Day and I looked at the list schools and said, wow, and we're right up there with them. And this football page is amazing. It had history, it had videos, it had just great content, but unfortunately it was lost. And Tim said, maybe it'll get back. It's a lot of work. So, maybe he'll be able to get it back, put it back
absolutely.
together.
We're all giving back to the program that's given so much to us. And I plan to do this for many, many years. And everyone should know where we will all be on Friday nights in the fall for the next few years going forward. Dave Guerrero, thank you for joining me. CIF champion in 1982 for those kids watching on the sideline. Oh, Mr. Guerrero, he played at Rio too. Yes, most of us played at Rio back in the day at one point. So always fun chatting with you, Dave. I'll see you next week as we continue to put out more content. And be sure to follow Dave's stuff, Rio Hondo Prep Football, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and we'll put together some fun memories. Thanks, Dave.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Dave Guerrero, for coming on the podcast and for all the great work that you do behind the scenes, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Dave's always telling me we got to get our Twitter following and tweets up, all this. So I try to put everything out on every content I can. I've added Rumble as another option to watch the podcast. So if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you can check us out on Rumble. I think eventually we might even find a way to post it straight to Facebook or Instagram, because sometimes that's how people watch stuff. But for now, YouTube seems to be the way to go with all of our views and things like that. But I like putting it out on everywhere we can. Again, however you follow Rio Hondo Prep Football, we want to offer you many, many options. And Dave does a wonderful job of not only videoing, you got to remember too, I know this side of it, that things are rather expensive, microphones and cameras, and he does a great job just putting in the effort, putting in time to edit videos. I mean, for a lot of guys, the only way they can watch a Rio Hondo game is through Dave's highlights, 7-minute highlights or 20-minute condensed game, basically. And it's not to take anything away from Mr. Bray and all the work he does, but just talking to Dave Guerrero today on the podcast and just kind of getting to know him a little bit and just the great work that he does. So be sure to thank Mr. Guerrero when you see him, because he puts in a lot of work. It's a great hobby of his. And again, I do it as well. But he's not looking for any credit or anything like that. He does it because he loves the program. He loves the boys. He played in it way back when. And I think it's a real lesson that to everyone out there that, the Rio Hondo football program has given so many of us so much, that we want to give back. We want to put our time in, and the parents who do so much with the meals and things like that. I mean, it's so fun that it all comes together on a Friday night. And it was great seeing some families the last few weeks at Rio who, their kids have graduated and moved on, but they show up, and hopefully they still follow the podcast, and they got some team to root for on Friday nights. Cause we all have our, again, professional and college teams, but I think there's something special about, hey, still rooting for high school team that you had affiliation with. Nowhere else really has that. Maybe some bigger schools, bigger programs, but Rio Hondo is a special place and always will be. So hopefully we show out this Friday night. We show the Kings Academy what Southern California football is all about. And it seems like, just from some research and talking to some people, that they're very similar to us. If I had to throw it out there, similar school. I think they started playing football in 2002. And that's interesting because we started 11-man in 2002, my senior year. A good time indeed. Hard to believe it was 21 years ago. But anyway, the Kings Academy in a unique matchup this Friday night at Care Park. And again, 6:30 kickoff. Do not be late. You don't want to miss any of the action. Parking will be, I'm sure, a nightmare, perhaps. I don't know if they'll open up some of the fields and things like that, but going to be a lot of people there. Hopefully a lot of food. And I hope the Kings Academy fans feel welcome to Southern California and get to experience a unique atmosphere at Care Park, which, is a very unique place indeed, especially for visiting teams. When you roll up, you're like, what exactly is this? Is this a park? Is this a school? Is this there's a Santa Fe Dam. There's a freeway. It's a unique environment if you haven't been. And I encourage my good friends out there, colleagues and former teammates, and hey, let's get out to a game. There's only 2 home games left, and this is homecoming. Why not come out to this one? And I know a lot of you watch on TV and the NFHS or Mr. Guerrero's clips, but come on out to the game, man. Get on out, get yourself a taco, and maybe buy yourself a Rio t-shirt. And we need to rock these out. Rio Hondo football. Hey, even if you just need a workout shirt or something, like, hey, it's nice seeing the shirts from the fans and everything. All right. Wrapping things up today, I'm just going to talk briefly about a rule in high school football, kind of, and then one like philosophy thing. Basically, when you see penalty enforcement in I say high school football, but it's kind of, there's different levels. So we'll just focus on high school football, of course. When you see multiple fouls on a play, a lot of times the fouls will just offset. One foul by each team. Okay. You just offset and you redo it, right? Sometimes there's 2 fouls by one team. One of those by rule is declined. You don't accept both fouls. You could technically decline both fouls if you want, but maybe it's 4th down or something. But I want to talk about live ball, dead ball fouls. Generally, say you have an offensive play that runs, penalty flag is thrown, right? Okay, you generally repeat the down. Where you don't repeat the down on an accepted foul is what's known as a dead ball foul. So a lot of times when there's a penalty enforcement, it's one little thing that the referee will do that'll let you know as a fan, was that a live ball or dead ball foul? And a lot of times, so we'll have, for instance, okay, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on, say, the offense. All right, 15 yards back from the spot of the foul, or this year it's previous spot. Anyway, replay the down. But if the play is ending or the official deems that it is a late hit, and if it's late, therefore it's after the play, right? So a dead ball, if the official raises his hand, dead ball, personal foul. So dead meaning it was after the play. Now the down will in fact count. So that's a big one on offense. Generally, again, there's no automatic first downs, or we talked about automatic first downs already in high school, but not personal fouls. But generally, again, a dead ball foul, the down will count. So if a play is run and there's a late hit, that's really a bummer, because not only is it 15 yards, takes away your play, but you also lose the down. So sometimes there's unique situations where it's like, hey, does that down, the down will count, a dead ball foul. And again, should raise his hand after the play was over, personal foul. Yeah, I'm saying personal foul because that's generally when the type of dead ball foul that occurs. On the same note, you could have a live ball and a dead ball foul enforced in high school football. So you have holding, and then after the play, a late hit by the offense as well. We're going live ball foul back. And then because it was after the play, we can also enforce that. So you can enforce live ball, if you have 2 fouls by the same team, but you can enforce live ball and then a dead ball. So that's a big no-no. That's also why say you run your mouth at an official or something after a call, it's a dead ball. It would be a dead ball, unsportsmanlike foul penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Say, for instance, you say something that he deems a flag, or do something that deems a flag, like a taunting or something. That's trouble, especially if it comes after another penalty stacked on top of each other. So those are the only times you can really accept multiple penalties, is when one is live ball and one is dead ball. And it's important to note that when there is a dead ball foul, that the down did in fact count. You don't replay the down on that. So I think in high school, they still raise their hand for like dead ball, false start, dead ball, offside. That's just basically prior to the snap penalty. I think they still raise their hand for that. But a lot of times, just look for that little key from the referees out there. I know you guys know the signals, holding, personal foul, block in the back and all that. But when you get that hand raised as he's making his announcement, he's saying after the play was over, dead ball foul. So that's just one little brief thing that the officials do that you guys in the stands will be like, oh man. Sometimes it's that in-betweener, right? It's like, not only was a hit kind of towards the end of a play, like when there's a pile of guys and then someone comes in and clocks somebody, not only was it maybe unnecessary roughness in general, but it also may have been a late hit, if you know what I mean. You could have a live ball, a personal foul in sports, or a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, but it could also been borderline late. So that's really when this will come into play, when it's like, oh man, was that a live ball foul or a dead ball foul? Because it's going to be 15 either way, but the down counting is what really, really matters there. It's kind of like, it's not a loss of down foul, but it's sometimes the timing of it just matters, right? And if the official deems, no, that was just a penalty only because it was unnecessary, not because it was late. But if it's unnecessary and late, then we have a problem. So I don't know if that made any sense to you. Probably didn't. I said it was going to be a brief rules discussion today, and I meant it. I tried to just throw something together that you guys wouldn't roll your eyes about, and maybe you learned something. So that's me, just putting my referee hat on once a week, trying to come up with rules and things. And what's really nice is when something happens in a game that we're all watching, that I can be like, okay, I'm going to talk about that next week that comes into play. So I know Rio Hondo, the fans were a little frustrated with some of the officiating last week, but that's the nature of the business. And I thought overall, the officials stayed out of the way. There was a few holding calls they thought they egregiously missed, but I will also say this, a philosophy, I'm not saying it's always the case, but a philosophy sometimes is, if there is holding and you sack a guy, you sack the quarterback for 10, 15 yards, you would probably decline that anyway. So it's some philosophies in officiating. They'll tell a referee, hey, if you see a holding, but he's under pressure, hold on the holding, like wait a second to see if the quarterback breaks free. And then, okay, now the hold affected the play. Sometimes you don't have to throw the flag immediately. You can just, hey, let's wait. Okay, I see it. Now let's wait and see. All right, he's sacked. Well, I'm going to pass on the holding. I'm not saying that's what happened on Friday, but sometimes philosophy wise, that goes into play there. Less stoppages of the game. And it's not necessarily missing a call. It's passing on a call, we'll say. Just some insight there to officiating 101, at least officiating at higher levels anyway. All right, no more rules talk, no more rambling from me. Thanks, Dave Guerrero, for coming on the podcast. Guys, we will see you Friday night at Care Park in Irwindale. Be sure to get there early. And to the young men, keep working on, man. Work hard. Again, injuries come and go. We got some guys banged up, and hopefully we can heal up soon. But you just don't take any of this for granted, man. It's going fast, and we're cheering for you guys. Keep working on, keep pushing forward. The season's coming to a close soon, but still plenty of football left. And if you want to keep playing football, you got to keep working, stay humble, push through adversity, and don't take anything for granted. Do not be complacent, young man. Keep working hard, and we will be cheering for you guys every step of the way. We'll see you Friday night, guys. The Kings Academy at Rio Hondo Prep for the homecoming game 2023. Get there early, and young men, keep working on.
Yeah, that's what all us good old boys gonna go